Well, good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Janet Thompson. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. And during this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, I invite you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Thank you. Today we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Francis Oakenden Roberts. Francis Roberts, known as Barney, was born on the 23rd of February 1904, the youngest son of Joseph and Mary Roberts of Braidwood, New South Wales. Barney Roberts was educated at Goulburn High School, where his academic ability earned him the very highest opinion of his teachers. Following his education, he spent a short period of time working on the land before entering the education department, taking charge of schools in the Goulburn district and at Binder. He later resigned and worked in a number of different roles, marrying Eileen during this period. He eventually settled in Braidwood, New South Wales, where he and his wife ran the local news agency and raised a large family. Roberts was a keen sportsman, and it was reported that probably no other man for very many years has done so much for sport in the district. He played cricket and Australian rules football and acted as secretary for both clubs for many years. It was reported that Barney Roberts never did an unfair act on the playing fields, and he always enjoyed the respect of every team he played against. He was a popular figure in the Braidwood district, where it was later reported he enjoyed a reputation few men are privileged to hold. Barney Roberts enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force in June 1940, motivated at least in part by a desire to do his duty. He underwent a period of training in camp in Goulburn, where he was quickly promoted to Lance Corporal and later posted to the 2nd 17th Battalion. He left Australia for active service overseas early the following year. Lance Corporal Roberts was sent to the Middle East Theatre of Operations, where he undertook further specialist training, passing with distinction. In mid-July 1941, Roberts was sent to join his battalion on the battlefield. At the time, the 2nd 17th Battalion were forming part of the garrison in the besieged Libyan town of Tobruk. The battalion would remain there for 7 months, occupying defensive positions and conducting patrols into no man's land. On the 25th of September, Roberts was travelling in a truck which hit a mine and was blown up. He was the only one badly wounded in the blast and was evacuated to hospital. His wounds proved too severe, however, and he died 2 days later. In Australia, the local newspaper reported his death in an article which said, "We do not doubt that Barney would not have asked to die any other way than for his king and the great country he loves so dearly." Francis Oakenden Roberts was buried in the Tobruk War Cemetery, where his remains lie today under the simple inscription, R.I.P. He was 37 years old, survived by a widow and 6 children under 12 years of age. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Francis Oakenden Roberts, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.